Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Yow. That's loud. Okay. It's Tuesday. It's May Day. My gosh, it's May. Okay. Let's take a while to take that all in. Not that I'm telling you anything you didn't know. And of course, because it's Tuesday, my sister, Suze, is on the line from St. Louis. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm echoing. Okay.
Are you still echoing?
No, I just was probably
hello.
too loud.
Hello. Hello, Suze?
No, I'm fine.
Fine? Okay.
Hi, long time no talk.
I know. Have you recovered from...
Oh, I've recovered. Have you recovered?
And why do you say that in such a manner?
Well, your stay was longer than mine.
Yes, my stay was longer. And it was, it was tiring. I get so jet lagged. I don't know what is it with me? I'm not a good traveler. I really didn't get my feet under me it took me 2.5, 3 days. So
3 hours is surprisingly disruptive. I mean, just think how hard it is to plan a phone call with a 3-hour difference. Really, it's
well, that is true. Calling people in California is a pain in the neck. So I did, when I returned, I think I recall on the day I came back, because I got back in, the early hours of last Wednesday, and then I was here doing the show, and, jet lagged out of my mind and generally in a lousy mood and railing against Southern California. I can't stand that place.
I can't either. I find it first of all, it's ugly.
It's ugly.
I mean, I know they say, well, no, you have to go up into the hills. And I go, yeah. So you go up into the hills.
It's ugly. And I'm sorry, it's ugly.
It's ugly. It's hard to live in, and it's I don't know, and you can't get anywhere.
No, I really. It's masses of concrete, of ticky-tacky looking houses and strip malls and I mean, I'm sure it was beautiful before we came. I mean, there's an ocean there. It's just awful.
No, I mean, if you get on Highway 1... And
that's beautiful.
And you just drive along the coast,
then it's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful, but every time you hit a little town, one's uglier than the next.
It's weird, but when I got home late that night, and I came through the Fort Pitt tunnels, just breezed through them. There was no one on the road. I had the whole highway to myself, and bang, there's that wonderful view of Pittsburgh. I thought, oh, thank God, finally, a city that looks sturdy, that looks authentic, that looks like the buildings aren't going to fall apart, that looks, you know what I mean? It just looks like a city. It has a muscle. There's no there. It's awful.
Well, that is the problem. I mean, That is the problem with L.A., is that there is no such thing as a city center.
No.
It simply doesn't exist. And so you'll find yourself when you're in the city in these beautiful, you'll be in one little, pretty little spot,
oasis,
but then you'll turn around and it's just...
hell. I know. Yeah, not to say there aren't beautiful places in the city and in...
But there are. There's tons of them.
Sure, but the
overall effect is, get me out of here.
Yeah, indeed. And then
you're always running into these teeny little movie stars.
Well, I didn't.
Well, I did, but
you ran into.
It just serves to make you feel rather large and oafish.
Well, screw them. It's all so shallow and tasteless. I mean, it's all awful. I cannot stand that place. I have to get out, get out, get out. I don't want to ever go there again. And then I'm railing about it all the time. And, of course, I got to drive from Long Beach, California to L.A., and then from L.A. to Palm Springs. And it's uniformly hideous. And then by the time we got Palm Springs, it starts getting prettier because the mountains are beautiful in a way. In a way. And the desert itself. But then you get to Palm Springs. And our mother said, as we were driving down one very manicured, lovely street, with flowers all over the place, she said, well, you have to admit this is pretty. And I said, you know what? No. You know why? Because it's false. It's supplanted.
It's like Disneyland.
It's not intended. All this grass is foreign. It shouldn't be here. It requires all kinds of water, which is, in fact, a very precious resource in California to keep it green like this with all these flowers. This is supposed to be sand. It's supposed to be desert. I mean, we superimpose this idea of what we think as beauty, and to me, there's something grotesque about it.
Well, not only that, but if you look at the natural plants, which the lower mountains are, replete with gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you couldn't put in the stuff that grows there
natural
naturally.
Stuff.
And have a perfectly landscaped area.
I don't know.
Yeah, well.
I just kept saying, there's too many of us. There's too many of us. There's too many of us. Too many. Well.
So you're cheery.
No, I just, because when I think of Southern California, I get nuts again. You heard about Mom in the bar?
What, making friends with everybody, you mean, in the airport?
Yeah, because my mother and I...
She called me from the bar.
Oh, yeah, she called me after the bar, because she was...
She called me to find out the name of the guy that had spoken at the lecture series, because she wanted to tell this nice Nigerian man who it was, and I was saying, "Oi, she's going to write him a check."
Well, this is our... going to be 90 in August mother. And I was with her at LAX, and then we had to go our separate ways. And we did. And then she called me maybe about 4 or 5 hours later, and she said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in Dallas." Lucky me. It's another great town. I'm in Dallas. And she said, "Well, I'm in Minneapolis." She said, "And I just met the most wonderful man." And I said, "Oh, that's nice." She said, "Well, I had a little time between planes, and there was a bar there, so I went into the bar. It was crowded, so I sat down at the bar, and next to this nice black man, and the bartender ignored me and continued to ignore her. And what did she say? She said she finally turned to the man she was sitting next to and said, "Do you see how he's ignoring me? You know why he's ignoring me? He's ignoring me because I'm an old woman." And then, of course, being our mother, she says to the guy, "And he's ignoring you because you're a black man." That's how the conversation started. And she got into a conversation with this guy and was just fascinated by him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, how many women, let alone 90-year-olds, would go sit at a bar by themselves in between planes and then strike up a conversation with a strange man sitting next to them?
Me?
You would? I don't
Yeah.
think I would. I wouldn't. I would sit at the bar, but I would assiduously avoid any contact with anyone next to me for fear they would be some jerk that I wouldn't want to talk to. I mean, I decide the odds are, not great. But she's something else.
Well, did she finally get a drink?
Yeah, she got her drink, but he never got his second beer. She said he had to run off to his plane, never got his second beer. I didn't ask her what she was drinking. I think she was drinking vodka.
She was probably drinking a Chardonnay. That's what she drinks.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, so that's just nature. That's her nature, right?
Yeah.
And it's a nature
she was having the best time in that airport.
Yeah, she was. It's amazing. I wish I had that nature. I don't. I have our melancholy father's nature. Damn. Oh, well. She's a riot, except when she isn't.
The thought of her is more pleasurable.
Should I tell people how she laughed at me?
I was just about to say, and you did look absolutely beautiful.
In retrospect, I realized later in the evening that I did too. But I was sharing a room with our mother, and we were getting ready to go to this fancy schmancy party on Saturday night. And she was getting herself all dolled up, and I was getting myself dolled up, and I was wearing a dress that I'd never worn before that was a little edgy. I didn't really think it was that edgy.
No, I didn't think it was.
Okay, it was a little edgy, apparently. And Mother comes out of the bathroom and spies me in my edgy dress. And I wish I could do this. She did almost a shocked kind of, almost like the Scream picture. And then snorted and then said, "Ha!" Like she couldn't believe what I looked like.
At which point I get a text
No, that
from my
wasn't
sister
but that
up in my hotel room.
That wasn't the point. I took a lot more crap before I texted you. She said, blah, 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 and on and on. And then she said, I hope. I said, I take it you don't like it. She said, well, no, certainly not. Oh, my God. She said, turn around. I turn around. And I'm thinking, what a jerk. So I started getting really insecure. Like now I'm supposed to walk down to the lobby and I'm supposed to go to this party. And then she says, this was the last straw. She's still staring at it in disbelief. And she says, I hope you didn't pay a lot of money for that. That is when I grabbed my phone and texted Susan, who was 2 floors down or something, 2 floors up, and said, Mom just laughed at me and blah, blah, blah. And Susan said, do you want me to come down? And I said, yes. But it didn't stop. She wouldn't back off. She is absolutely... We ended up getting in a car together, my mom and me. Well, I'm so mad at her, I can't see straight. We're driving to this party. And I said to her, that's not very nice to say to somebody who's all dolled up for an event and, blah, 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 and you say to them, you can barely contain your laughter and horror. And she said, no, that's right. I'm sure. No, it's not very nice. And then she chuckles.
That's when I reassured my beloved sister by confirming for her that yes, Mom was a mean girl.
She's absolutely, oh my God. But mostly we had a wonderful time. We decided, she and I, that the trip was unbelievably stressful, punctuated by periods of great frivolity. That's not how you would. That's not how you would characterize it.
Well, it wasn't so stressful for me, but yeah.
What? You weren't driving.
That's right. I wasn't with Mom. I was off duty.
Oh, Jesus.
Doesn't happen very often.
No.
Myself.
Well, you have a more placid, I just love her to death, but man, I mean, she's a piece of work. So, and what we were doing is going around saying essentially goodbye to all her college roommates because they're all
dying.
Well, I don't think Shirley was dying,
Shirley
but
just is
not in good shape.
Right.
But can you imagine? Yeah, being the last one standing like she is well, it doesn't seem to bother her.
Well, I mean, it's simply a fact of her life. She doesn't.
She's going to bury everybody.
Yes.
And then she'll probably just chuckle and go play golf or something. This is how you live forever. That's the kind of mindset, just filled with life and curiosity.
Well, it's taking her toll. She's tired from all of this.
She is tired. I'm tired. Aren't you tired? I'm tired too.
I am, actually.
Jeez. Okay, we got to stop this. No one wants to hear any of this. So, Susan, did you hear about the dentist? Did you hear the one about the dentist? It's a woman, dentist.
Yes, I did.
In Poland? First of all, how stupid.
Well, who would call your ex-girlfriend?
I don't know. Okay, guys, so here's what it is, right? This dentist, female, has a boyfriend, and then she doesn't. He calls it off, breaks up with her.
I think she's Ukrainian, by the way.
Oh, it says here a Polish woman.
Oh, it's Polish, okay.
Whatever. Poles, Ukrainians. What's the difference? One of those Eastern European people. No offense. And then he got a toothache or something, this idiot, 3 days after he breaks up with her, and he goes to her and says, "Oh, can you help me?" So, unbelievable. She puts him under and proceeds to yank every tooth out of his mouth.
It was a little extreme, I felt.
Jeez. God. She's going to jail for 3 years.
Yeah, I would have taken out the tooth without any Novocaine.
There's an idea. That would have been enough.
That would have been appropriate treatment, caused great pain, given her satisfaction, and been entirely legal.
She said, this is Anna Makowiak, "I tried to be professional and detach myself from my emotions. But when I saw him lying there, I just thought, what a bastard," and decided to take all his teeth out. God. So, there you have it. 3 years in jail. What's the charge? That's assault? That's
of course.
Yeah, but 3 years. How many months is...
She caused permanent damage when he has no teeth left.
How many...
And he lost the new girlfriend because...
He don't have any teeth?
Right.
There. Don't screw with the ladies. Okay. I have a quote. I don't know if you think this is any good, but I come upon these. If evolution were really true, if it really worked, then how come mothers only have 2 hands? It's not good.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's a
Because
thought.
we seem to do just fine with two hands.
Not really. Aren't there so many times when you do need more? Mouths work. Armpits work. I'm saying for holding things.
All I'm saying is we managed to do it.
Right. But it might be better with more than two.
It would be just that many more nails to break, Lynn.
That's true, too. Okay, so it's May Day. There was some nice new, it had to be totally new graffiti at the bus stop today. And it said, what did it say? May Day, did it say like cause chaos, or May Day, cause trouble, or be bad, or I don't know what it said. It was sort of weird. And that was my first clue that it was, in fact, May Day. I hadn't thought about it. We don't.
Well, we do this rabbit thing.
Oh, don't!
Yeah.
Don't! You know who else does that? Is that Tom Sokolowski who does that? That's right. Tom Sokolowski, who's on the show on Thursdays, former director of the Warhol Museum, he was here on some first of the month, and he said, "Oh, rabbit, rabbit, rabbit." I said, I almost killed him. And he's from Ohio. No, he's not. He's from Ohio. So you hadn't encountered that till you went to St. Louis.
Well, it's firmly lodged in my husband's family.
Okay, well, but that's St. Louis. Beth writes...
But, I mean, it wasn't rampant in St. Louis, if you know what I mean.
Well, so it's in his family, too. But there's no ethnic similarity. Your family's German and his is Polish. I don't know. Beth writes, "See, Lynn, if we had national health care, this man could have used another dentist and gone outside his plan." Here's the thing. He was in a place that did have national health care, right? Right.
I'm afraid we can't make this into a political thing.
Sorry. We can try, but we can't on this occasion. Speaking of political things, Wisconsin Democrats are about to screw up this the ouster of their governor, Scott Walker, which they've worked so hard to attain, collecting, 1 million signatures, blah, 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 blah. The election, the primary to see who runs against him is in, I think, a month. And so we know who the Republican candidate is, and he's rather well known to the voters. The problem is the Democrats have not agreed on who's going to run against him. And it turns out that the Democrats are absolutely ripping themselves apart over two candidates. And it appears that the labor unions, which were so part and parcel of the muscle that took, that made this happen, want one candidate while everybody else seems to want the other. And I think you got a lot of union people saying, well, hell, if you elect this guy, the mayor of Milwaukee, to take him on, we're out of here. Because he ain't so great on labor issues either. So they are going to snatch victory.
No, they're going to
snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. I can't believe this. The unions want a woman named Kathleen Falk, who I vaguely remember from living in Madison. She now apparently is the county, executive. And I'll have to look her up because that name just absolutely rings a bell. I think she'd be about my age. Next thing I know, I'll remember. I'll say, "Oh yeah, she was my next door neighbor."
Right.
I have such a terrible memory. I'm thinking when I heard the name Kathleen Falk, well, I knew her. Who is she? I can picture. I can do everything. I can't. So they want her, and the mayor of Milwaukee is the guy who had run against Walker in the initial election and had lost to him. But he's the establishment candidate. They are going to screw this up. The Democrats now that were so focused and united are now pulling themselves apart. Isn't that
It's awful.
sickening?
Yeah.
Sickening. I'm just here to be the first to tell you that I think Walker could well survive because the Democrats are going to eat their own in this last stage of the battle. You know.
Well, it's just another argument why you want to keep outside money out of, internal things, because it's money that's coming, vast amounts of money that are coming in from the rest of the country that are making it impossible for Wisconsin people to try and figure out how to deal with their own future.
Are you suggesting in this case it'd be the union money?
I think both sides are. I mean, meanwhile, while they're doing this, Walker's just sitting there collecting millions of dollars
incredible
from
amounts.
the country.
I know, incredible amounts. I really feel for the people.
So both sides. I mean,
there.
I don't think it's just one. But in that particular case, yes, it's the union.
You would think people'd be able to keep their eye on the common, goal. You would think. They walked all that way together, and then at the end, they can't cross the finish line because they start fighting. Unbelievable. So, Suze?
Yes.
I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break.
Okay, well, that's good. I just poured myself a cup of coffee.
Well, that's good, too. And we'll be back in just a moment.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star appliances, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the ballet, opera, City Theater, Science Center, Symphony, History Museum, and the Carnegie Museums. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. bergbargains.com. Sewickley Med Spa provides the most advanced treatments in aesthetic medicine, including Botox, Restylane, Juvederm, Radius, medical-grade chemical peels, and sclerotherapy using a sclera for spider vein correction. We offer a relaxing environment and only the best products for your complete satisfaction. Conveniently located at 435 Broad Street in downtown Sewickley. Call 412-259-8628 to find out about this month's specials. Sewickley Med Spa. Pittsburgh City Paper's annual restaurant guide is available now. Plus Lily Tomlin, Roy Ayers, The Raven, and All-American Rejects. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Here I am. I had a thought and it absolutely disappeared.
Oh, welcome to my life.
Hey, Susan, I want you to share with people the sorry state of your state. You told me in California that your state had passed a law in which Missouri is now on the gold standard.
Well, I don't think it's actually, I'm hoping it hasn't actually passed, but yes. It's made it through, a bunch of different places where
committees.
Yes,
it's
gold
not...
and silver will be able to be brought to depositories, and then you will be able to write checks off of it. And it'll be. I'm thinking to myself, really? Who's going to do that?
There's people who do that. What do you mean?
Deposit a large amount of gold and silver, and it drops
in price.
And meanwhile, you've sent a check out for it. How does that work when it's not backed? You know what I mean? This is what's happening, and It is so incredible. I can't even read our local newspaper anymore. I'm afraid.
Well, you're in the hands of yahoos. The yahoos
Total
have
yahoos.
And I was reading that your senator, Claire McCaskill, is being outspent like 7-1 in her efforts.
Again, it's all this outside money.
Right, it's the outside money and the PACs. And they're saying she's trying to counter it by actually taking out some of her spots, are just saying, hey, you see this? This is, she's trying to counter them. But, when the spending gets that out of whack, it can be very hard to reach the people who are undecided, because they're undecided because they don't really have an opinion. So they are the ones that get swayed.
That's the rule of politics. You do understand. You don't talk to the no's. You don't talk to the yeses. You aren't going to change minds.
You got to talk.
You
right.
only go for the undecided.
So that's how this.
They're very hard to find in this particular climate. Undecided.
You mean most people have taken sides?
Yeah, and I think in my state, the good guys are so
on the run.
Lost.
Yeah. So I am so. You would think I'd stop being stunned. It's just, I've still, I guess hope springs eternal. I am stunned by the Republican umbrage, yea, verily, outrage over the fact that Barack Obama has said that part of his record that shows that he's a good president is the takedown of Osama Bin Laden.
And, well, I would have done that, says Willard.
Well, you can't say Willard. People don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, well, that's Mitt's name.
Yeah, it is Willard. It's not his. Is it his first name?
Yes.
Willard Romney. Right. But he wouldn't have done it because the record shows that he, in fact, said that he would never have staged a raid in Pakistan. He was specifically asked that during a debate. Would you stage if it was known Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan? Would you go in without informing the Pakistani government and take him out? And he said, "Oh no, I would never do that." That's on the record. And then he says today, well, even Jimmy Carter would have done that. Well, as if they're desperately trying to resurrect this. Democrats are weak.
How dare he remind us that he did it, as, conveniently forgetting that W was on that battleship with,
full battle
victory.
gear. Right. Not only, the mission accomplished thing happened
about 6 years before the war ended.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think what precipitated it. Was it Saddam Hussein's statue came down? The statue.
They marched into Baghdad.
And toppled a statue.
Right.
Mission accomplished. We took a statue down. And then, he didn't try to make political hay out of that by, dressing up as a fighter pilot and flying onto and having all these soldiers, these Navy guys stand there as props and the whole banner thing. No, Republicans would never use a military victory for political ends. How do they have the gall to act as if that's unseemly?
Because the Karl Rove rule book says, number one, say whatever you please, and if it works, that's great. If it's true, that's okay. If it's not, that's fine. Repeat it as many times as you want if it works. Deny it that you ever said it if it doesn't. I mean, that's just the rules.
I remember thinking when this happened, when we were informed that bin Laden was dead, that the president was so low-key about it They didn't do any kind of victory things. They were just a very low-key, informing the American people that blah, blah, blah. There was no excessive, celebration or anything.
No, at the time I remember the discussion about it saying it would be unseemly.
But I was also thinking I wanted them to make more of it like the Bush administration did for anything.
Right.
They would catch 3 hapless idiots in a warehouse somewhere in Miami who said they were going to take down the Sears Tower in Chicago, even though they didn't have shoes or something, or a bus ticket to get there. And I remember there would be, you'd interrupt programming to have, the head of Homeland Security, the head of the FBI, the head of the CIA, and everybody and his uncle, saying how we have just saved America by finding these terrorists. They did that constantly for every little stupid, idiotic thing. Do you remember those guys? Those hapless folk? And then they have the gall to suggest that Obama is using this. He has to run on his record. His record is he made the decision despite the fact that his defense secretary, left over, by the way, from the George W. Bush administration, Robert Gates, said, don't do it. It's too risky. Don't do it. There's too many things that could go wrong. Despite the fact that his vice president, Biden, said, don't do it. Don't do it. He did it. He had the guts to do it. And there's Romney saying, well, anybody would have done that.
Well, and exactly, it's your tone of voice. That's how I read it, too. It's such a childish thing. Let's just... Why aren't we hearing from this candidate what he plans to do?
Because he doesn't have a clue. I'll tell you what he plans. No, what he plans to do is to do what Republicans do when they get in office. Help their buddies get even richer and screw the poor people.
I do like the new ad that the Obama campaign is running about a Swiss bank account. I think that's extremely pertinent. Why do you want a president who has a Swiss bank account?
I haven't seen it. Are these ads running in?
Yeah, they're in Ohio right now, but you can. I'm sure you can Google them, and you can. So, or he had. I think he had one, but they just get him on his record. Why is this man good for the United States? When he was governor, he shipped state jobs to India.
Yeah. So
there's a record. There's
such a. I know you got a record that you can just sit. And okay, here's a record. Here's a direct quote. 2007. Romney says that, quote, "It is not worth moving heaven and earth, spending billions of dollars to find." Oh, I actually don't have the rest. Well, to get Osama Bin Laden. Why did I rip that out like that? Just trying to catch one person. Then, 2 days later, in a debate, he says this: "We'll move everything to get him." Now, recall, he had said 2 days before, it's not worth moving heaven and earth, spending billions of dollars just trying to catch one person. 2 days later, it says here in the paper, he clarified the remark.
By totally changing
By totally turning it upside down. That's not a clarification.
That's a retraction.
That's a retraction. And I heard one of the Don Senior or something, who's he's his advisor on national security affairs. I heard him on TV this morning saying the same kind of thing when it was brought up. But I thought Romney actually said he would not have done it. He would not move heaven and earth to blah, blah. And Senior says the same thing. No. He clarified that. What dictionary do these people use? That's not clarified. That's turned upside down, ran around, and totally obliterated. It's not clarification. It's
by the way, you did notice that the British government decided that Murdoch
is unfit,
unqualified to head his company.
Well, that'll be news to some people because he certainly has gotten rich. I mean, if well,
no, but that finding there meant that he, if they were to believe what he said, that he didn't know what was going on,
then he shouldn't be running the company.
Then he shouldn't be running the place. That he was, for the hands-on guy that he liked to say he was, he either knew or he should have known, and they're holding him to it.
He's either culpable or an idiot.
Right.
We think he's culpable.
Right.
Well, so what'll it get him? It ain't gonna get him in jail or anything.
Who knows what'll get him? I don't know.
I don't think. Well, let's move on to one of the Democrats' rogues, a guy so loathsome. Okay, as a matter of fact, Susan, come up with somebody more loathsome than...
John Edwards?
Yes, of course. I mean, what else?
I so don't even want to hear what they are forcing us to. I'm mostly angry at the government because they're putting us through this.
Right, because some people say this doesn't look like actually a good case. Well,
here's the problem.
To get him, I mean, he's one of the more vile human beings on the face of the earth, but that's not a crime.
No, and if why didn't they let him say it was a gift? And then why don't you go back to poor Bunny Mellon, who's dead, or her estate, and
Bunny Mellon,
get the gift back for it?
Okay, but using the words "poor" and "melon" in the same.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do know.
I'm saying that if what she did was give him a private gift, there are tax consequences to that gift, and they're payable by the donor, not the donee.
So,
which would be a totally different issue if they just, but no, it's got to be this campaign thing. And it's really complicated by the fact that the slime ball, that family, the Andrews, right?
Yeah, he's the guy
or
who...
Young.
Yeah, Andrew Young.
Is his
the guy
name.
who took... His buddy who took the rap, who actually agreed to say he had impregnated this slut.
But it turns out that he was taking all that money.
And
he was building himself
well, they
a house
deserve
with
each
it
other.
And
I
stuff
mean,
like
yeah.
that.
So he's taking the money. Meanwhile, the slut is living high off the hog too. There's no problem there. But it's the testimony.
Well, wait a minute. Can I interrupt for a second just to point out to Rush Limbaugh that would be an appropriate use of the term?
Yes. Yes. We agree?
Yes.
That's a slut.
Yeah.
And actually, I can't think of a better couple than her and Edwards.
Yeah, I think they absolutely...
no wonder they got...
By the way, that's actually a quote. That's a John Edwards quote.
What is?
That's what he called her.
Edwards called her a slut?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So the testimony from the wife of the guy who said he's the one who had the affair came yesterday, and I guess it's going on today. But there are some things in it that are so... So I was reading the New York Times article. It is beyond belief. And this is true. You can hear Edwards saying it. As he's trying to tell her and her husband that they should take the rap for the slut, and that she and her children should deal with the fact that they're going to say that it was her husband and their father who was having the affair. Edwards, in making the pitch to do that, said this. Let me get it all. Nobody cares about two staffers having an affair. This is it. This is our time. You have to do this for the good of the country. Can you imagine?
No, it's the megalomania. That
ego
he's so convinced
that he's going to save the country.
Right.
The good of the country. They've got to cover up. And then, here's the quote that made me just freak. He also said he didn't want his wife, Elizabeth, to know about the affair, quote, because she's going to die soon.
He's no Newt Gingrich.
He's worse than Newt Gingrich. At least Newt Gingrich tells his dying wife, I'm having an affair. Tells her the truth. So, listen to this. So, when the wife of this Andrew Young can't take it anymore, because she and her children are like on the lam with Riel Hunter. They're off living in here and there in California, and she couldn't take it living in these hotel rooms and stuff. And she finally said, I've got to go home. I've got to go home. Then another John Edwards friend named Lisa Blue said this. This is the wife of the Texas guy who was also bankrolling all of this. Besides Bunny Mellon, there were these two. She tells Mrs. Young, Mrs. Edwards is not well. I am a doctor. She is not mentally healthy, and there is a great chance that she would do harm to you or your family. This is the woman trying to keep Andrews from going back to her home, where apparently now the murderous, dying Mrs. Edwards is. Suggesting to her that she's would kill her. It is so vile. You do feel dirty even reading about it.
That poor, long-suffering daughter.
What is she doing with? Wouldn't you? I don't get it. I saw someone write a column saying how wondrous she was, that she was trying to keep what remained of her family together.
But why? She has assumed this horrifying burden that is just,
Why would she want to? She must still love him.
Because she's all that he's the only parent they have left. I don't know.
But if that's the only parent you have left, geez.
You might be better off without
him.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't realize that she's been the parent all along.
Horrible.
It was just this was just her. That girl's life was just one long continuing. You think it can't get worse? Watch this.
So a New York Times poll says that 3% of Americans have a favorable view of John Edwards. Who are they?
I can't imagine. Men that like to have affairs?
Even they would not. I can't even... It's just 3%. It's unbelievable. Please. Unbelievable. Oh, I just got an invitation for food and drink at the Harvard-Yale Club, which I had is right near here, right down the alley. It's a lovely little building that looks like it was built in 1710. Maybe it was. I don't know. But Susan, it was just featured in a story in the paper maybe a month ago, and I was stunned to learn that you don't have to have gone to Harvard or Yale to join the club. In other words, I can go join the club.
Well, why don't you? It'd look great on your resume.
I believe it's a Harvard-Yale-Princeton club.
Well,
no.
To quote Obama, snob.
Snob, right. But why have a Harvard-Yale-Princeton club if you don't have to have gone to Harvard, Yale, or Princeton? I mean, what's the point?
Well, my guess is that it started out that you had to, but then they
didn't have enough money.
They bored each other crazy, and they needed the money.
No,
right?
no, it's money. It's money.
Sure.
It's money. They say right here, yes, international night at the esteemed Harvard, Yale, Princeton Club. Mix and mingle with people who want you to think they went to Harvard, Yale, or Princeton. Jeez. You know me, I ain't a joiner. Although I guess that's like, it would make you if somebody came to town, well, why don't we just have cocktails at the Harvard Club first? The musty old Harvard Club. So the war on women continues apace. The Vatican's at war with the nuns. Unbelievable.
Really? I mean,
it's just unbelievable. The nuns are the only ones that are actually upholding the teachings of Jesus. They're ministering to the poor, the needy, the least among us. They're living lives of poverty and service. And then you look at the, robed in gold with the, scarlet shoes and headdresses.
Every single last one of them.
Oh, jeez.
Well, it sure is a way to radicalize, a whole, group of women religious. If they weren't before, they sure are now.
Okay, back up, because, I've been working with these women religious, and I haven't asked them, but how come you say women religious? It goes against the whole way that we speak English, where the adjective comes first.
Well, I don't know.
And how did you know?
Term of art.
I know it is, and that's how they refer to themselves, as women religious. But how do you think that happened?
Direct. It was probably a direct translation.
Aha! From one of them languages that
by some excuse the term. I'll do it this way. By one of the wonderful nuns that was like the teachers that my husband had. And when they said something, it was the rule, whether it was right or not.
Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe it was just a direct translation.
Well, sure it was.
From a language in which the adjective came
second.
After. Right. So what'd you think of Donald Driver on Dancing with the Stars last night?
Well, I always liked Donald. But he's got some stiff competition.
He sure does. I don't know if he can win it, because
I don't think he can win it.
The best one is that woman, the dancer.
The blonde woman is the best.
The singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
is
he amazing though? He's
and
so.
Then you have these two gorgeous men, and they're both do
very good.
Well,
yeah, they're both good.
And Menounos, or whatever her name is,
she ain't gonna make it.
Derek did a really good piece of choreography.
Yeah. But, man, Driver is so...
Well, what's cute is he's just so into it.
He's so competitive.
He will do whatever she tells him to do. And it's what I say each time about these football players. If they tell him to do some, sissy little, ballet steppy sort of thing, they have always just thrown themselves into it. And they look great.
Right. Like he was doing the dance last night. He was prancing. He was like tip, 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 light on his feet, and then throwing his arms out in this very balletic way. And I'm thinking, do you know how many men so unsure of their own masculinity would no more do that? And it just shows how masculine you are when you can do that. Just gorgeous.
It just goes to show what makes you look like a man is having confidence in yourself as a man.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's all.
Yeah. Right. Amazing.
But yeah, he looks absolutely gorgeous. And although I did think that the team dance, that the other dance was better.
Oh, without a doubt, that dance was so incredible.
Wasn't that a good
it really
dance?
was incredible.
I was going, oh my God, those people all look like they're professionals.
I know, it was incredible. The tango, yeah, or the whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever.
God, okay, we'll stop. Just had to. I'm talking to my sister here, okay?
We haven't talked since California.
No.
Screw you all. Yes, go ahead.
Right. Did you just say screw you all?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's
Jesus, Susan! Susan! It's our audience!
I love you guys. This is how I talk to people that I love.
I'm sorry I backed up and, underlined what you said. Jesus! God!
It really is. Please, it's the way I talk to people I love.
Yeah? This is true, actually.
I apologize. I was wrong.
Okay, Ray, who is my correspondent on all things Catholic, says this. Lynn, religious is not modifying women. It is a category that is being qualified by women. Okay, so you're saying women is the adjective and religious is the noun? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. And that makes sense, too.
But religious, if you look at the dictionary, Ray, religious is an adjective. Religion's the noun.
But if it's a term of art. It's a category, he's saying.
I know it.
Religious.
Yeah. But it sounds odd to the ear. Women religious. It sounds upside down. Okay. So, a federal...
I just keep hearing, who was it, Johnny Mathis? It's not for me to say.
What wasn't it? What wasn't it him for him to say?
I don't know, but I thought it
It's not for me to say.
It came flying through my brain.
Okay, those little snatch of music, but I can't remember the next line. He was the guy that, like, girls in the early 60s were seduced to. It's not for me to say. Okay. A federal judge on Monday, are you ready for this? A federal judge on Monday stopped Texas. How many stories start like this now? A federal judge from Monday stopped Oklahoma. A federal judge on Monday stopped Missouri. A federal judge on Monday stopped Georgia, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Wisconsin. How often is this going on now?
I mean, daily.
And, folks, it ain't because these are activist judges. It's because you have legislatures run amok. They're just passing totally unconstitutional laws left and right. I mean, that are laughably unconstitutional.
And mostly laws that take aim straight at either women or any number of a group of minorities.
Right, almost always. But this is another woman one. A federal judge on Monday stopped Texas from preventing Planned Parenthood from getting funds through Texas's Women's Health Program. He said it is unconstitutional that you can't cut off one group from this from the program. The law, of course, was passed by the Republican-controlled legislature, and it forbids state agencies from providing funds to an organization affiliated with abortion providers. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily perform abortions, but if you have any connection to somebody who might, then you can no longer be in the program. Now, there are 8 Planned Parenthood clinics in Texas that absolutely do not do abortions, which sort of puts the lie to how Republicans like to characterize Planned Parenthood. Well, how would they have 8 Planned Parenthood things if they don't do abortions, since that's what they do? So, those 8 sued over the law, and the judge said, I mean, this is a joke. Right, it's unconstitutional. So, of course, Texas is appealing, and they've gone further. Texas says that if the state is forced to include Planned Parenthood, they will shut down the entire program. Understand, the program is the Women's Health Program, which provides basic health care for 130,000 poor women. And you can bet they're poor, because you can bet that the requirements in Texas to be defined as poor are probably draconian. If you make more than $10 a week, I'm sorry, you do not qualify for this program. 130,000 poor women will have no access to care. How do they do this and then think that they can say they are not targeting women's lives?
Because they get to do whatever they want, and they get to say whatever they want. It's what they've been doing. I mean, and I mean, I almost think that we should just let them sit back and let people see what it is they're churning out. Well, okay, Missouri's back on the gold standard. What are you doing?
You can't. Who knows? Yeah, the imagination runs wild or amok, as the case may be. Okay.
I mean, how many legislators do you have left standing? I mean, you've put a record number away this year, correct?
Yeah, we're still next up. We've got we haven't sentenced the last one yet, and we've got a few still in the dock. It's just unbelievable. So. Ray's back about women religious. He says, in this case, religious is like clergy. No! Clergy's a noun!
That's from the second grade.
Ray, I get your point, but to an English speaker, the word religious, I mean, if you had it on a test, religious. Tell me what are adjectives, what are verbs, what are nouns, what are adverbs. Religious, the correct answer is adjective. Clergy, the correct answer is noun. Susan?
Yes, but in this case, all Ray is saying is that if you went to the dictionary, a good dictionary, an alternative meaning would have it as a noun, meaning clergy.
Okay, well, I'll look it up in the OED then. Chuck writes, Lynn, congratulations on going over the 5,000 friend mark on Facebook.
They let you do it now.
Oh, they do let me go over? Oh, thank God, because I've been saying no to everybody.
Well,
what?
They wouldn't let you.
But now why are they letting me?
I don't know.
But Chuck says, unfortunately, Susan just told these 5,000 plus people to all go get screwed.
Oh, please. I'm her helpful sister.
Jeez.
Don't punish my sister because of my big mouth.
And you know what? She's not even one of my friends.
No, because I don't tweet.
It does say it's a noun.
Okay, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. Jess tells me, go ahead, Jess, read it off. It's a noun. Go ahead.
A member...
Hey.
They can hear me. A member of a religious order, congregation, etc. A monk, friar, or nun. Religious.
All right. And that's not even a good dictionary.
No, it's dictionary.com.
So did you hear that?
Yeah, you look it up in the dictionary, and it's one of the definitions as a noun.
Right. And now Ray has gone off to his own dictionary and says, religious! A person bound, noun. Noun. A person bound by monastic vows.
Well, see, so I might have made an unintentional, and I do insist it was an unintentional explosion, we'll just say. And you just flat out infuriated people.
I didn't infuriate Ray. Ray, by his own definition, is, I forget the word he used in a recent email, but abrasive. That was it. He said he was abrasive. So you can't offend an abrasive person. He's just being himself.
Abraded?
No.
Abrasive means that he irritates others. I'm suggesting you irritated him.
That's right. But if you're an abrasive person...
you deserve it?
Yeah, I mean, you should be used to offending. I mean, but people strike back at abrasive people. Not that he's being abrasive today, but whatever.
Have I deflected yet?
I don't know. Susan, go to the
I'm
gym.
really sorry.
Yeah, it's quite all right. I cannot accept your apology on behalf of my thousands of friends, but I can say that I forgive you.
Good, because I have an excuse.
And what's that?
I'm my mother's daughter.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say? You are our mother's daughter. There's a little bit of a mean streak there, guys. Okay. Susan.
Yeah, we're late.
Yeah, it's late. Go work out. I know you have an appointment.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you very much. And it's late. Bye. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, Chris Potter.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.